Introduction to Paul's Correspondence with the Corinthians, from the Apocryphal Acts of Paul, Peter, John, Andrew, and Thomas by Bernhard PICK. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Acts of Paul. B. Paul's Correspondence with the Corinthians. The discovery of the Acta Pauli in the Coptic has fully confirmed the view expressed by Lacroze and Zahn that the apocryphal correspondence with the Corinthians originally formed a part of the Acta Pauli, together with the Acta Theclae and the martyrdom of Paul. In 1823, Professor Rinck published at Heidelberg Das Sendschreiben der Korinther an den Apostel Paulus und das dritte Sendschreiben Pauli an die Korinther, for which he perused 8 manuscripts. His researches made it clear that the correspondence in the Armenian Bible manuscripts belonged to the body of the Pauline epistles, i.e., was originally counted in the Armenian Church as belonging to the biblical canon, because it stood as third epistle to the Corinthians after the second epistle to the Corinthians and before that to the Galatians. From other indications, Rinck also inferred that the reception of the third Corinthian into the canon belonged to a time when the Armenian version of the Bible was made, and that this was due probably to the influence of the Syriac Bible, in which the epistle must have occupied the same position. In the commentary of Ephraim Cyrus on the Pauline epistles, the third Corinthian is treated like the other letters of Paul and in the same order which it has in the Armenian Bible manuscripts. And the same Ephraim in this commentary on Tatian's Diatessaron quotes the 5th verse in Paul's answer as a genuine word of Paul. And before Ephraim, his countryman Aphraites, besides the 5th, quoted also the 10th. Besides, in the Armenian, the third epistle to the Corinthians has also been discovered in 2 Latin manuscripts, one probably belonging to the 10th century and the other to the 13th. In the former, the third Corinthian stands after the epistle to the Hebrews, and has the following heading: Incipiunt scripta Corinthiorum ad apostolum Paulum, and Incipit rescriptum Pauli apostoli ad Corinthios. The inscription reads, Explicit epistula ad Corinthios tertia. Then follows the so-called letter to the Laodiceans. In the 13th century manuscripts, the Corinthian correspondence stands at the end, with the following headings: Petitio Corinthiorum a Paulo Apostolo, and Epistola tertia ad Corinthios, que authentica non est. At the end, the copyist added, Hanc reperi ego inveteri quodam libro, cu tertia ad Corinthios inscribitur, quam nona non habetur. Schmidt thinks that the third epistle existed not only in the Syriac version, but also in Greek Bibles, which were in use among Greek-speaking congregations in Syria and Palestine. The Greek, no doubt, formed the basis of the Latin, and since the correspondence, as is now proven, formed a part of the Acts of Paul, we can very well understand the existence of Latin versions of the Acts. The Coptic version, though fragmentary, is an important witness and is a proof that the original text is preserved the purest in the 13th century Latin manuscript of Laon, found by Bratke. This manuscript is unhappily also deficient, but with the help of the other Latin manuscript, edited by Burger Carrier, the Armenian of Rinck, and Ephraim's commentary, a translation is made possible. In the Coptic the correspondence is thus prefaced: "The Corinthians were in great distress on account of Paul, that he would die before his time. For men, Simon and Cleobius, had come to Corinth, who said, There is no resurrection of the flesh, but of the spirit, and that the body of man is not created by God nor the world, that God does not know the world, nor has Jesus Christ been crucified, but only in appearance, and that he was not born of Mary nor of the seed of David." In a word, they proclaimed many things in Corinth, deceiving many others and deceiving themselves. When, therefore, the Corinthians heard that Paul was at Philippi, they sent a letter to Paul to Macedonia by the hand of Thratus and Eutychus, the deacons. The letter, however, was of this nature. End of Introduction to Paul's correspondence with the Corinthians.